Chris, so I wanted to ask about one big aspect of digital transformation is video, and we've been talking about video for a number of years. Big movement to connected TV now, ad supported. I mean, obviously there's a lot of SVOD subscription services, but a lot of migration, big players now in the CTV space. I wanted to ask, how you see movement in general, adoption, consumer choice, uh, how you observe that broadly, and perhaps how that affects the buying decisions at Coca-Cola.
Sure. I mean, in general, from a consumer standpoint, and a marketer standpoint, I see consumer choice being sort of a wonderful thing. In regards to CTV, honestly, even before the pandemic was approaching, consumers were absolutely migrating to the space. They were looking for on-demand everything, and certainly on-demand TV and video content. Certainly we've seen ratings fall consistently year over year. And as marketers like us, we're putting more money into linear TV. We're simply, honestly just building an excessive frequency. I think, I saw somewhere that it's now 50% more expensive today to achieve the same 50% reach as it was 5 years ago. So that gives you a sense of how challenged the space was. I think, cable subscription rates are falling consistently. I think they're saying like by 2025, only 61% of the population, at least in the US, will have linear TV at all. Today, I think 2/3 of all video viewing for adults actually comes from on-demand and CTV. And obviously, that number is far higher when you look at the younger generations, which is, who we in general try to speak to. Yes, when the pandemic hit, linear got a bump, but on-demand and CTV certainly got a much bigger bump. Viewership and subscriptions to pay services just grew tremendously. Consumers were now confined to their homes and able to work from the couch, and some were no longer even working at all. So now they had the time and the opportunity to really adopt and then to binge. And when you had the TV production and content production begin to slow down, there was a breadth of quality content available on sort of the on-demand platforms, and it drew enormous migration of consumers. And I think sort of let's be honest, I think it's sort of like a drug. I think once you get a taste and once you realize that you have got the ability to watch amazing high quality content and programming when you want, where you want, and however much you want, why would you ever go back to linear? I think of my kids, they get so disappointed when the first thing they see on the TV is the guide where they have 3 options of what they can watch versus hitting the Netflix button and all of a sudden have a breadth of offerings that they can just cycle through and watch whatever they want. So I mean, we have seen a tremendous migration. I think we're going to continue to see a tremendous migration from a consumer perspective, and we can talk about that more as well. From our perspective, and from I would imagine any marketer's perspective, it is an enormous opportunity. And honestly, I wouldn't even call it an opportunity. I don't really think we have a choice. The consumer is making the choice for us. The consumer is migrating to on-demand. And obviously, our job is to meet the consumers where they are and to deliver them messaging and experiences that, for us uplift, but in general sort of drive consumption. And if that's where consumers are, then that's where we need to be. So, of course, we are, and I can't talk in specifics, but of course, we're seeing an increased role for CTV in our plans, and across the board for all plans, no matter who the demographic is, who the audience is, who we're trying to speak to. We certainly have brands where CTV and sort of on demand, represent a much more sizable portion of overall video investment than linear does. Again, I don't think it's any more a generational thing or a demographic thing. It's absolutely become mass, and I think this COVID period might have been sort of a tipping point, a jump start for the broader population to really begin adopting and see sort of the benefit of it. But like linear TV, it's really now about aligning with the right content, the right platforms, with, within the right context for our brands and messaging. So, it's hugely exciting to marketers. Honestly, to be able to advertise in quality TV-like programming, but be able to target and measure with the sophistication, almost potentially, of digital, using shopping and search and browsing behaviors and even our own data to find the right audiences and deliver them the right message. That's an enormously exciting prospect. I would say, I think today that's probably the promise. I think there's still a ways to go. I think there's, a ton of exciting developments across the board. Let's be honest, it's a very sort of fractured space. Lots of new opportunities and new providers are popping up all the time. It makes it, the fragmentation does make it challenging, especially from a measurement perspective. But that's something, that hopefully we'll be able to begin to tackle in the near future. I mean, currently there is a lot of ownership by the walled gardens. So we'll need to sort of find ways to sort of work with them, as well as to work around that situation to put the right plans in place, leveraging CTV.
What are your thoughts about, brand viewability, brand fraud, safety? In the digital world, of course, we go through all that. What about the role of third-party verification vendors in the CTV world? How do you define that need? How do you see that?
I mean, let's be honest. As spend grows, so does the threat of fraud, and it's many forms that I couldn't even begin to list. So for us, I think third-party verification is absolutely paramount. I think in general, us or we, as well as the broader marketing world, sort of learned the hard way. When we entered the digital realm, the digital space. There was a time when fraud took like every $1 out of $3, right? Viewability was lucky to be at the 40% range. So I don't think we want to make that mistake again, with CTV. And I think, we're in a position to know what our expectations are and know what we expect from providers and publishers, and know what measurement should be in place. So I'm excited about the developments in the space, especially around verification. I think there is some ways to go in terms of viewability. I think the metrics that we have in place that some of the providers are offering are sound. I think we'd ideally like a metric that's on par with what we look at for the broader digital ecosystem. And I expect that to come in sort of the near term. And yes, I mean, viewability isn't as enormous a concern within the CTV space. Just, given in general, the expectation is that it will be a viewable piece of content given sort of the players, but it's still something that we need to track. We need to be able to compare it. Our objectives are to really, look at, our video plans, our digital plans, our connections plans, our media plans, really in a holistic manner. So we need to have those consistent measurement and KPI in place to really be able to gauge performance of individual channels. So.